Here at the Beehive, all the bees are behaving, and that's because that's what God wants us to do. We learn our verses from our Bibles, and we like to show them to you. It all starts with Queenie, she knows the verse. She'll tell her stories and what we learned. Peyton is the patient, Willow is wise, Jenny is generous all the time. Dylan happy is so diligent, Louie is so loving, Hudson he is humble as he fights his pride. Grace is always graciously gracious, and then the gentle Jimmy, that's the bees at our hive. Here at the Beehive, all the bees are behaving, that's because that's what God wants us to do. We learn our verses from our Bibles, and we like to show them to you.
Hello children, welcome to our Beehive for Memory Monday. Today's story is Be Wise, Willow, and today's verse is Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction. In the end, you will be wise. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Truth be told, that was great. Let's start with our story. Once upon a time, in the buzzing meadow, there lived a curious little bee named Willow. Willow loved to explore and gather nectar with her fellow bees. One sunny day, as they were busy working, Willow overheard Jimmy and Hudson talking about the upcoming thunderstorm. "It's supposed to roll in this evening," Jimmy informed his friend. "I'm not a fan of thunderstorms," Hudson shivered. "All that noise and clatter? Terrifying." Jimmy shrugged. "It's not that bad if you're in a safe place." "Under my bed," Hudson answered without giving a moment's thought. "I'm always under my bed. I mean, who's to say what's safe and what isn't?" Eager to keep her friend safe, Willow decided to learn more. She visited the wise old bee, Grandpa Buzz, who was known for his knowledge about the world. "What brings you by this afternoon, sweetheart?" Grandpa Buzz asked. Willow sat down next to Grandpa. "I'm a little worried about the thunderstorm we're expecting tonight. I want to make sure my friends and I are safe down at the honey hive. It sounds like this storm is supposed to be dangerous." "The best thing you can do is keep your hive warm and dry. In my day, we put propolis in any cracks or crevices. This acts like glue and seals up any holes. Then you want to make sure to stay warm, and most of all, stay indoors. While it's possible for you to fly in the rain, it's not pleasant. Get yourself a nice book and cozy in." "I like that idea." Willow smiled, imagining sitting next to the fireplace with a good book and a cup of hot cocoa. "Thanks for all the advice. I guess I'd better get going now to tell my friends about everything you taught me." Willow rushed back to the hive, eager to share what she had learned with her friends. As she got to the hive, gray clouds were building up in the distance. It looked like a scary storm was indeed headed their way. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Willow excitedly shared it with her friends. She advised them to seek shelter in the hive when the storm arrived. She told them about the propolis and about keeping the hive warm. "What is propolis?" Peyton asked. "Actually," Willow said slowly, "I don't know. Do any of you know?" "I'm willing to spread propolis all day long," Dylan commented, "but I also don't know what it is." "We could look it up," Jenny offered, opening her dictionary. "I don't know," Jimmy complained. "It's honey-making season, not school season. We can always learn later." "But we need the information now," Willow argued. Looking around the room, Jenny offered, "Let's take a vote. We can do whatever has the most votes." "How do you think the vote will go? Let's practice our memory verse, and then we can find out." Today's memory verse is Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction. In the end, you will be wise. Truth be told, I've never heard kids say it better. Now, let's move on with our story. But before the bees had time to discuss it further, the huge crack of lightning hitting a tree nearby exploded through the meadow. The sound was deafening. All the bees covered their ears and trembled. I don't like this, Hudson started to cry. That sounded scary. That sounded like we were going to die, and I don't want to die, he hollered as he buzzed under his bed. I wish I could tell you we are all going to be okay, Peyton offered. But I'm scared too. She flew under Hudson's bed and shivered. The storm raged on for what seemed like forever, but in reality it was only a couple hours. A couple of hours that felt like they would never end. One by one, the bees flew under Hudson's bed, joining him until they were all under there. The hive swayed in the wind, and it felt like it would fall apart. The friends huddled and prayed, and some of them cried from time to time. Just when the bees had given up hope for the storm to end, it did just that. As quickly as the storm blew in, it rolled away. Slowly and cautiously, the bees came out from under the bed. We didn't die? Hudson asked, looking himself and his pals over. We didn't die, he exclaimed. The tired group hugged one another tightly, glad they were all okay. It looks like there was only a little storm damage. Dylan pointed to a spot at the top of the hive where he could see a little sunlight shining through. Only a little water leaked onto the floor, Jenny said, mopping it as she spoke. The group cleaned up their hive and then fell into a tired sleep, hoping tomorrow would be a nicer day in the meadow. What a rough time the bees had. I think they will sleep well tonight. Now is a good time to practice our verse. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Truth be told, I've never heard kids say it better. Now, let's move on with the story. When morning came, Willow felt discouraged and sought out Grandma Honey, renowned for her wisdom. Grandma Honey, I came to see Grandpa yesterday, and he explained how to care for our hive before the storm. I felt so hopeful when I left, but then the storm came and everything was terrible. Aw, sweetie, Grandma Honey wrapped her arms around Willow. I'm glad you and your hive mates are safe. Me too, Willow said, swallowing back tears. I was so scared. Grandpa told me everything to do, but I didn't know how to do it. Grandma Honey explained that wisdom is not just about knowing facts, but also about knowing how to use the facts and make good decisions. She encouraged Willow to understand her friends' fears and find a way to reassure them. After a lovely snack of biscuits and tea, Willow hugged Grandma and headed back home to her friends. Dylan and Hudson were just finishing the repairs on the roof. Busy, busy, buzz, buzz. Fixing up is always fun, Dylan buzzed as he flitted around Hudson. Bruh, I'm just glad we didn't die, Hudson replied. That's the kind of fun I like to have. Dylan laughed at his friend, and they started to clean up after the project. Jenny and Peyton were finishing putting a freshly dried rug back on the floor. Grace smoothed out the wrinkles behind them. When they all gathered for supper, Willow opened the notebook she brought with her to the table. Grandma Honey explained some things to me today, and I was hoping you'd all be okay with planning ahead for the next storm. Louie nodded enthusiastically. I'd like it if we did that. I heard there might be another storm tonight at bedtime. Oh no, Hudson gasped. Grandpa told us all the facts we needed to know yesterday, and that didn't turn out very well. Poor Poor Hudson, the little guy is always scared. Let's practice our verse and see what happens next. Today's memory verse is Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Can you kids say that with me? Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise. Truth be told, I've never heard kids say it better. Now, let's move on with the story. Willow smiled. That's what I wanted to explain. Grandma Honey told me that knowledge is knowing the facts, but wisdom is knowing how to use the facts and make good decisions. So while you were working this afternoon, I started gathering information and making some plans. She revealed her notebook. Let's start with propolis. It's made of saliva, beeswax, and sap. We have enough time to make some before the next storm comes in. Peyton, Jenny, Grace, Louie, Hudson, Dylan, and Jimmy gathered around Willow, listening closely and planning out which bee would prepare and complete each task. Unlike during the storm, the hours passed quickly, and the tiny swarm of bees completed each item on their to-do list, one by one, until everything was complete. This hive is a fortress, Grace declared. Hudson nodded his head. I feel more secure than I've ever felt, he exclaimed. Busy, busy, buzz, buzz. Bring on the storm. We're safe, and that's fun. As the clouds gathered, Willow and her friends huddled together, safe and sound. The storm raged outside, but inside the hive there was warmth, unity, and the sweet buzz of contentment. In the end, Willow learned that knowledge is valuable, but true wisdom comes from applying that knowledge with compassion and understanding. The meadow continued to thrive, and Willow's wise leadership became a beacon for all the bees, teaching them the importance of looking out for one another in times of uncertainty. I'm glad the bees are safe, and more importantly, that they learned they need not only to know the facts, but know how to use them and make wise decisions. That's the end of our story. Join us next time as Jimmy learns to be gentle. Proverbs 19:20. Listen to advice and accept correction, and in the end, you will be wise.